Okay, class. So this week we are going into Photoshop. Um, so this is we've gone into Photoshop to process photos for our projects, but as you know, it's its own program, and it's probably the most well known of a lot of the creative cloud programs. So I have opened up a brand new document in Photoshop. So I did File New. Um, and for our little exercise, we're going to create mini collages with different layers and layer effects. Okay. So here is my new document window. I'm going to go to print. We're going to make these mini. So instead of something a letter size sheet, it's going to be 3 by 5. So closer to a photograph. So you can make kind of a good little working space to explore the tools. We'll be using inches and our resolution is 300. All of these, like the color mode, RGB, the background is white. This is fine. And then you're going to hit create. Okay. A couple of things in Photoshop. We have, it should look kind of familiar in the sense that we have our toolbar, similar to InDesign and Illustrator. We have our toolbar on the left. We've got our tabs. So it opens up in tabs here. These are my images, which we'll get to. I've got my layers window. So that's kind of important. We're going to be looking at layers. If your layer window isn't open, you can go to window and open up layers. At any time, if I have something open and it's not open on yours, you can go to window and click on any of this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we made our file. We're going to save it. Okay, and you're going to go to File. You're going to go to Save As or Save. And you're going to make sure that your format, right, is Photoshop. Okay, and you'll notice that it's a .psd file. Okay, so this is going to just kind of help us make sure that we have our layered file, which you'll see, and then you guys are going to be saving out JPEGs, which are flat, for your posting. Okay, so I'm going to name it my first initial, last name, and I'm going to put collage, and then today's date. Okay, and then I'll click save. Right, so make sure you know where you're saving your files to. And for us to manipulate, right, images, we obviously need images. So I have in my tabs here, these are some images that I scanned in. And so I'm going to copy sections of it and put it in my layered file. Okay, so I'm going to go to like my toolbar here. If you hover over any of the tools, and if you've noticed this in the different programs, it kind of shows you a little preview of what that tool does. And an important part of Photoshop is making selections of images. And so you can see I've got a rectangular marquee that just does a rectangle. I also have here. Okay. I also have, it's called a Lasso Tool. Okay. And it does straight lines. And it follows me very similar to the pen tool, but just not as much control in like curves. And then there actually is a pen tool in Photoshop. So you are able to kind of closely cut something out using the pen tool. So you guys practiced the pen tool. You guys worked in the pen tool for your project one. So it should come in handy here. It works pretty much in the same function. If you want to do the straight lines, it works. And then if you want to do a curve, the clicking and dragging system, it works here. Probably the main difference for your pen tool in Photoshop and Illustrator is for you to change directions. I've got my mouse, but you can use your trackpad, but you have to click on Option, and then that little triangle pops up, and then it changes the direction. Where in Illustrator, you just kind of had to hover and click. Okay. And in Photoshop, the pen tool, it shows up in this window called Paths. So for you to make it a live selection, you would select on that work path and make it a selection. Okay. So selections are important because, I can copy this selection, and you can kind of see how this works. Edit, copy, and I'll go back to my collage file. Collage file, and I go to edit, paste, right? And so you can kind of see that whatever my selection was, here, I copied it and then I pasted it here. Okay, so Command minus zooms out a little bit, and you can see that it made a brand new layer. So once I copy and pasted it, it made a new layer. This layer I can turn on and off. I can rename it drawing. And then I'll file save, Command S. And so it's layered. Okay. I can also use that rectangular marquee tool. So this is another file. I'll just use the rectangular marquee tool, make a selection, edit, copy, and I go back to my first, my little 3x5 file, and then I will go edit, paste, or Command V. All right, and you can kind of see that it copied into my file and it actually dropped it into another layer, right? So you can see though that the layering process is kind of top down. What's on the top here shows up in front. What's underneath it shows up on the bottom. If I want to switch the position for my layers, I can constantly just move the layers back and forth. Okay, so we'll do that just a couple more times. For your assignment, you just need 3 as a minimum layer. If you want to explore a little bit more, you can, you're more than welcome to. So I copied that and I pasted it. You can see it made another layer. So I'm gonna name this name my layers, you just double click. And okay. And so I'm saving Command S. There's, if your picture came in, right, and it's off to the side and you want to rotate it, you can go to Image, Rotation. I'm going to rotate it counterclockwise. Okay. And here we have the image. I'm going to take some part of this kind of flower, succulent part of the carving, and I'm going to edit copy. So Command C, go back to that file, Command V or paste, right? And I'm going to name it. I like naming my layers, it keeps it clear for me. Got one more. I wanted to get more images to kind of demo with you. But if you have just your 3, that's totally fine. So I copied it and now I pasted it. It's kind of hidden pattern. Okay, and I'm going to save. Right, so from here, right, we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. I can turn the layers on and off. I can do that in different orders. I can reorder my layers, right? And so I'm going to make sure that I save that, right? So main thing was making our file and using our different selection tools to copy from one image into our main file. Okay, so copy and pasting and saving. And then in the next video, we'll show you some of the different effects and tools that you can use. All right, cool. See you in the next one.